But there are people that they try to still the remnant of it is in them. I've looked at them. The first thing that you could identify them with, they try to tell you what to do and what not to do. Something that's strictly forbidden in the Baha'i faith. You cannot admonish people to do right things or wrong things. It's none of your business. If you find their behavior is seriously injurious to the faith of God, you may go to the assembly, elected body of the people, and report it to them, or national or universal, to the elected officials. But we do not have the power, we should not give a spiritual advice to somebody. Unless it's friend or he asks the questions from you, wants your opinion, that's different. But going around and talking to people what to do and what not to do, it's totally forbidden in the Baha'i faith. It's in the Kitab al-Aqdas. The other things I've seen about them is that when they're the member of the local spiritual assembly that's elected by people, or national or universal, they think they are different. They think this is the climax of being a spiritual Baha'i, to be elected by the Baha'is to go on the top. One of these poor souls in Thunder Bay, his name is Tim, he was seriously misguided, and Terry Nesbitt. They were insisting to be the member of the local spiritual assembly. We are appointed by God. I don't know how did he read this, but in the same pamphlet, Shoghi Effendi says there's no difference between member and non-member. The fact that every year we have election, it just tells you that this member of the local assembly or national or universal, there's anybody different from us. This just clearly says that there's an election. That means you can be replaced. So he says that they're dealing exactly with the same problem as we do. So being a member, getting merely elected, if you think that makes you a spiritual and there's a spiritual status, you're sadly wrong. You've completely gone out of the whack if you think like that, because clearly the text of Shoghi Effendi is against that. And in fact, in the world of Baha'ullah, he says the future guardians, which in the first party means the guardians are the elders, he says they have to prove that they're ordinary people. This is the cardinal principles of the Baha'i faith, that they're just merely ordinary people. He says the power to interpret of the writing that's officially given to me by Abdul Baha, not only that makes me higher than others, he says that I might be infinitely inferior than Abdul Baha, and a status that none of the Baha'is are infinitely inferior than Abdul Baha. No human being is infinitely inferior than Abdul Baha. But he says one can have the art and the power or whatever, like I do, to be able to interpret the writings of God. But that doesn't mean they're anybody spiritually. He says that. He says, others, we have to work on that to proving that. I don't know. I think I've proven this point, because I don't have a single Baha'i approving of me. So this is number one, when they're a member of the assemblies and whatnot, they think they're somebody. The third things I've seen in them, they keep judging people. It's just the sort of judgment is in them all the time, which is again is forbidden. Baha'ullah in the book of Iran, Certitude, says one cannot even judge himself, because no one knows what his own end shall be. This is the quote from him. He says, we do not know what the ends might be. So you can't sit down here and say that, oh, I'm going to heaven. You do not know, he says. At the hour of death, you might change, he says. Just that few seconds before you die. One can go to hell, one can go to heaven. The four things I've seen from these people, although they don't have the turbans and the uniform, they obey in a very blind, full. They just obey as if they have no characters. And they always quote the saying of other Baha'i teachers or other Baha'i writers or famous Baha'is usually. You know, they insist, he said that, he said this. And I told you before, one of the sign of the disintegration of the religion is that the people follow the words of their leaders and follow it and obey it and prefer it over the actual text of God delivered by the manifestation of God. It's okay to break the law of Baha'ullah. You're still a Baha'i. But if you don't obey the National Spiritual Assembly, then you're not a Baha'i. Well, that's definitely wrong. National Spiritual Assembly, local Spiritual Assembly, universal laws of justice, undoubtedly they're the inseparable part of the Baha'i faith, but they are tools. There's no spirituality in it, not at all. They're the ship, they carry the cargo. That's the religion of God, that is the faith of God. It's just the tools, channelizing the effort of the believers in creating unity and whatnot. There's absolutely zilch spiritual power in it. Nothing. And its members have no difference from anybody else. They're the point of reference because to create unity, you know. So, going to my note. Then finally I have to say, all right, we have many places in the Baha'i faith that it says, Baha'u'llah says, help those who are promoting the cause of God and respect them. He uses the word ulama fil Baha, the learned in the Baha'i faith. So, there are such people, there's no doubt, lots of them. The first sign of this type of people is that nobody knows them. They're heavily misunderstood. That is because they're higher than the society, and society as a whole elect what it thinks is better. This is the rule of thumb, this is the prime directive. In any society, from now till 1,000,000 years from now, always there shall be a minority who is oppressed and pressed by the others. They carry the truth that others don't. They're ahead of people. Yeah, those people are not recognized, you know. So, the biggest sign that I can definitely say that that man is the learned of Baha is that they are engaged in teaching. And I don't mean like me talking. That's nothing. Abdul-Baha clearly in 3-4 tablets says, writing books and talking and media, all of that is not going to bring people into the Baha'i faith. And he gives example. He says in the beginning of Islam, for 300-400 years, Muslims, they did not have a holy book. No one knew what it is. It wasn't even put together. Copies were very, very short. And Arabia was paper, what nothing. There was no books really. It took a long time, 300-400 years before it became available. So what was teaching? He says a one-on-one. One-on-one. Do not use a media between you and people. I'm saying these things because I'm in a situation that I cannot teach Baha'i faith to the people. If I do, immediately they go to the assembly and assembly tells them who've been introducing to the Baha'i faith. As soon as they say Abbas Temori, they say, go. So these people will become misguided, you see. If anybody turns into Baha'i faith through this listening to me, please do not mention my name. But join the Baha'i faith to local assembly. Do not bring. You can refer to what you've learned from this. That's good enough for me. I do not need any name, okay? I would be ashamed to be known among these people anyways. You know, I think something is wrong with me if these people, they think I'm too high. I'm like to be kept aloof. So, but what I try to say is that I'm trying to carry on my mission, say these things, as I told you, because I'm like an atlas. The whole globe is put on my back, one single man. And how am I going to carry this misunderstanding of the Baha'is? They're all innocent, for sure. But they're waiting for universal laws of justice to tell them that Abbas is correct, and then they all will come towards me. I don't want them then. Then they're no good to me. Changing the side because somebody told you to go that way, then you're not coming towards me. I don't want anybody like that, please. But if you're coming towards me, which means listening to what I say and try to analyze it and see how true is that, and go on, do a research, find it for yourself, become genuine, independent individual. And if I had, a little bit in helping you out there, my credit is with your father, I work for him, not for people. So this is why I can't, that's why I'm doing these things. But truly, if you want to take this huge ability of spiritual virtues, you have to go one-on-one to teach people about Baha'i faith. You have to show some kind of a demonstration in your behavior and attitude. However, if you see a guy who's brought people into Baha'i faith, and those he brought into Baha'i faith are also engaged in teaching themselves, he is the real, spiritual leader. And he's very humble, If you call him you're spiritual or something, he will really get hurt. He doesn't like it. Myself, I'm the same way. If somebody tells me that I'm spiritual or whatnot, then I tell him what is wrong with me. What did I do? Spiritual? Because you said something, now I have to get you on that. Why do you think I'm spiritual? What is the spirituality? What is your intent? Explain yourself. And then in 95% of the case, I've seen people have no idea. They're just simply saying something because they got affected or they think I need the pity or something. It is written in the Baha'i faith that a spiritual leader is the one who acts upon what he says. You see? But the problem is that in the Baha'i faith, your act has to be hidden. No one should know about what you're doing. Those whose act is clear, doubt them, please. If they're famous among the Baha'is, they are not the intended spiritual leaders by Baha'u'llah. No. I've seen them, hundreds and hundreds of them on the YouTubes and in there. None of them know nothing. Nothing they know. It's all regurgitated ideas of the past. I don't know where the hell they got it from. They're all doctor this and doctor that, PhD this, PhD that. They think if he has a PhD in quantum mechanics or in biology or in the law, he's just given certified Baha'i teacher. It is not. He is not. Ali Merchant is. He's one Baha'i from Malaysia.